to Too Many Hats podcast with your hosts with the most, Tony and Lavelle. Every morning from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. We also have Queen Watkins with Clock Dead. Tune in with us and have a great time. Let's talk about it right here. Too Many Hats podcast. I can't hear you. I can't hear you. Like you muted or something. Yeah, they're tripping. There we go. The ended over there where he is with Tam over there is something different. He worked fine when he was over there in wherever it was, Phuket, whatever he were. Hopefully he'll be able to jump right back on. Good morning to you guys, man. Top of the morning, man. Hopefully y'all have had a great Tuesday. Happy pregame. Happy Christmas Eve. That's so stupid. While Tony is getting on, coming back on, whatever's happening over there. Big shout out to everybody, man, who's been supporting us thus far. We'll be off on tomorrow. We're going to take an off day for Christmas and celebrate with our family, and that's going to be an amazing thing. Okay, there you go, coming on now. Uh-oh. I'm trying to switch it up.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, you're still freezing though.
Can you hear me? You can hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Man, it's Wi-Fi, man. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. It was a whole lot better when y'all was on our other Airbnb in Phuket, whatever it was. What was up? Yeah, that John Dragon though.
Yeah. Well, I mean, better. That was probably better Wi-Fi. we in a different country too.
Right.
So we getting what we get.
Yeah. I'm just finna jump back off again. What's up, Mr. Derek? How you doing, sir? Yeah, my faithful compadre is having some technical difficulties. Yeah, keep dropping. They keep dropping. I don't want to jump into nothing without and that happening. I don't know what we're gonna do about it.
I don't know. Maybe this will work. I tried moving closer to the Wi-Fi box.
Okay.
So maybe this will work. What up, Derek Atkins? What's up, brother? What's going on? What up, Zoe?
Yeah, that seems to be happening. Really, you stand, like you ain't flickering and stuff like you was at first.
Yeah, because I was back in the back room and it's like walls, concrete. Where these buildings are made. These buildings are made out of concrete, so the walls are concrete. So you pretty much, if you go in another room, So I just came in here right by the box. So hopefully it'll stay consistent.
Yeah, you percolate, Doc.
Yeah. Okay. So, man, this is a good one today, man, because when you think about why success doesn't feel like we thought it would, and when I saw this, Lavelle, I actually thought about like this makes so much sense to me because I've been in situations where I thought, you know, I was successful or whatever I was doing was pretty much successful. But in the end, I was like, I didn't really feel like I was that successful. Right.
Right.
Or either that particular achievement didn't necessarily feel like I thought it would.
Yeah.
And then some people was like, man, be grateful you got done with it, but it wasn't the feeling that I was expecting or anticipating. And so after the fact, right? And so for me, it felt like, you know, damn, well, like I went through all that for that. You know, and it just didn't feel the same to me. Right. Whereas other people were sitting back saying, man, yeah, that's a pretty good, you know, accomplishment or whatever. Even sometimes when I got certain positions and you know, people around me were celebrating it, but I wasn't necessarily, I don't know. I guess I just didn't feel like I thought I would about it. You know, I do know when I got my degree, when I got my, I got 2 masters, and I think it was my second master's. I felt like was more fulfilling, and I actually walked because I didn't walk on really none of my other degrees. But I said I'm gonna walk on this one, and I had all of my family and everybody came and support, and I think that kind of felt, you know, like an actual achievement, and I felt pretty good about it. But there have been achievements in my life where I've gotten achievements and they just didn't feel like I thought they would. And so for me to see this question, or for me to even see this thought around this, you know, made me really kind of look in hindsight or retrospect over my life to say, bro, you know, this is meaningful because I didn't necessarily feel like I thought I would. You know, so I don't know how you came up with it.
But like I told you, when I because I had, when I knew that you was gonna go out of town, out of the country, I was trying to prepare myself in the fact of that maybe you'll be off 2 or 3 days. So I started, and I was trying to think of topics to where you won't have to work so hard and be out of the country, I mean, as well. And so I had started, like saying, I started asking ChatGPT, because it kind of knows that I do, you know, 2 Minute Hats podcast, you know, that I do the DJ One Love stuff. So it kind of has a fellowship with me, so to speak. And I said, so I need some episodes to close out the year. And so when I went back in to try to get the PowerPoint that he had suggested, they went down low. I said, what can you do to help me with this situation? Whatever I said, and he said, well, let me suggest that you all do a series.
Right.
And I was like, that's different. And so it gave me like all the topics and everything. They gave me the series. Well, it did the same thing. It went down low, but I love the subject matter. And I was like, wow. And then, like you said, the PowerPoints were so short. I was like, but inside the PowerPoints,
because the PowerPoints are basically talking points. There's not an actual PowerPoint presentation. It just gives you a few talking points. That's why I said it is no need for you to put it up because it's just talking points on it. But you know, again, when I thought about it, so I like kind of how it's kind of placed in here. It says achievement versus fulfillment. So you can achieve some stuff and still not really get a fulfillment out of it.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? And I really, and I hope I ain't overstepping when I say this, but I really believe that this is how some people feel in their marriages now. That it was an achievement. We got married, but I wasn't really fulfilled in it. And I think it was because you know, people are getting married. You know, we talked about this before on the show that so many different people are getting married for different reasons. And, you know, it can't just be love alone. It can't just be this alone or that alone. It has to be a combination of things. I just like with what's his name? Boris. Is it Boris Kujo or whatever his name is?
Yeah.
How he talked about his wife. And he said, she's my person.
Right.
And I'm hers, you know, and you know, we can go, when it's your person, you can love together, you can be mad together, you can win together, lose together, hurt together, and you should. And so when you think about having fulfillment versus achievement, you know, a lot of people look at those marriages and they go through the marriages and they had this big illustrious $200,000 wedding,
Yeah.
and it wasn't fulfilling.
Well, I think what happens is that we don't understand success, and success to a certain degree is what you frame it, how you want to feel it for yourself. But I think success goes two ways. It can go sacrificial, meaning that you did it from a pure place to actually to achieve it, and then it can be superficial where you did it and it really ain't nothing. You just did it because you're trying to please people, and you know what I'm saying, make
Mhm.
folks saying you this and this. So it can be sacrificial, like it can be superficial.
I think that's a very good point that she's made, because that could be why, you know, some people they can have those achievements and still not be fulfilled, because, you know, for achievements for some people are based upon their desires to like you said, appease other people. You know, I'm getting this degree because my mom and them dad have told me to go to school and get my degree. So I want to go to school and get my degree because I want my mama to be proud of me.
Right.
Right.
I don't know where I got the cliche of the saying from, but I started like just studying success before we started the podcast some years ago. And success doesn't start with S, it starts with you.
Yes. And when people, you know, that, and it's a very good example how we're taught, hey, we want you to go to high school, make, you know, get good grades, you know, go to college, you know, prepare yourself for the real world, get good grades, do well in college, and go out here, you know. And then so we do these things, and that's why I don't be mad at people when they say, I mean, college ain't for me or school not for me.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it hurt us as parents to hear our children say, this ain't for us, that ain't for us. Because we feel like, you don't know what's good for you, what you know. But
Mm-hmm.
I've seen countless movies, countless shows where even some of these reality shows where the kids have kind of rebelled against the parents. You know, they had these rich parents or whatever paying for everything, and the kids, you know, they thinking they out at school and these kids and quit the job, you know, I mean, quit school and working or doing something else and doing something totally different. And then later on, come to find out that what they were doing, they were making way more money in what they were doing than what they would have did when they completed school in that particular field.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, think about the Mark Zuckerbergs and all those that started Facebook and all these other Yahoo and all these other platforms. Well, these dudes most of them didn't even finish school.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So,
right.
You know, I think when you success is, you know, could be defined in several ways, you know, because I can look at somebody's life and say, they don't seem successful to me. But they can look at their life and say, I'm highly successful because they know what they've been through to get to where they got and to achieve what they have.
Absolutely.
Sometimes we're on the outside looking in, and it's not really, you know, it doesn't look like success to us.
Mm-hmm.
But it depends on how you view success and how you're viewing it. So goals don't always bring peace.
Mm-hmm. I was just looking at it.
I've been taught all my life, man. Make sure you set you some goals, get you some goals, and for the most part, I did that. I went out, I set me some small goals, intermediate goals, long-term goals. I set my goals, but every single solitary thing that you do doesn't necessarily require goals. And if you feel like they do, just because you have goals doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to bring you some peace if you achieve those goals.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things, boy, this thing right here finna go sideways. Because people's ideology or their definition of what success is, again, what it looked like to me may not be what it looked like to LaVale.
Right, exactly. Yep. Mm-hmm.
LaVale, by my standards,
Mm-hmm.
by his standards, by a lot of other people's standards, has a very successful DJ career
Mm-hmm.
in DJ business. Somebody like DJ Envy may look at LaVale and say, "Oh man, he ain't even touched the server yet. He peon."
True that.
Because he's reached a certain level, a certain plateau, and that is what warrants or looks what success looks like to him.
So there's a danger in measuring people's success.
Hello. So what I was going to say, and the reason I said this thing can go left field right now is success. But what success really does, depending on how you view success and what is successful to you,
mm-hmm.
Success can expose emptiness.
When I saw that, I was like, "Whoa!"
It can really expose emptiness, man. Because again, think about what I just compared you and DJ Envy.
Mm-hmm.
It's two different DJs, two different people doing two different things, both considered successful. But if you guys were looking at each other, LaVale may say, "I ain't as successful as DJ Envy," and DJ Envy may look at LaVale and say, "Man, that dude can't touch me."
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? DJ Envy's thought of you and what you do and it not being successful reveals a certain emptiness in him. LaVale looking at DJ Envy and saying, "I ain't there yet," reveals a certain emptiness in LaVale.
So how much does status have to do with success? I think you doing that comparison.
I think again, that's one of those things because status doesn't guarantee you success.
That's true too.
There's a lot of people walking. It's a lot of folk around here walking around here with titles and all of this stuff that man faking the funk.
Yep. I just talked about that with Miss Gwen yesterday.
They faking the funk, bro. They walking around here with a title and they got $2 they can't run. What they said, rub two wooden nickels together.
Yeah. Wow.
Faking the funk. So when you start to really open your mind and think about success and what is successful and what does success look like to you, it may start to show you, man, how empty you are in certain areas, or just empty, period. See, Zoe says success can cause conflicts.
Oui.
I think it can only cause conflict if depending on your mindset and how you view success.
Yeah, and if you allow it.
And if you allow it.
Yeah.
If you view success a certain way and you allow it to really infiltrate who you are as a person or what you're doing, then yeah, it could definitely be a problem and it could cause conflict. If I'm a teacher, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I teach elementary, or right. No, I'm gonna take it a step. I teach kindergarten or preschool.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody who teaches at the collegiate level may look down on somebody teaching preschool and say, that person ain't successful. They down there teaching preschool.
Mm-hmm.
Well, how can you determine what success looks like to that person because you teaching on the collegiate level.
Mm-hmm.
That person may say, I could teach at the collegiate level, but I choose to teach preschool.
Right.
I choose to teach abroad versus the U.S. because I don't like the U.S. children. I like the kids abroad.
Mm-hmm.
She said, I'm sick of you Negroes.
But I think too, what happens too, bro, we take the success and use it as a measuring tool, as a measuring stick, if you will. And I think a lot of times that's why we end up coming up on the
But what are we measuring? What are we measuring? Because we just said success, Lavelle, and I get where you're going, and I appreciate what you're saying. But what are we measuring? Because if success looks different to you than it looks to me, how can we measure that?
It just, like you just said, what Zoe said, what he said. I think it just folks' mindset. You know what I'm saying, and how they think. You know, but
like
I can't, the individuals who take that.
I can't even begin to start, and that's why I keep doing these comparisons of like the teachers and the DJ and all that stuff, because that's when you start people trying to measure up, and you can't, because you on that particular level and you doing that. That's you, and that's successful for you.
Right. I'm gonna use, for example, like you said, that you and Monica have some of the young adults that be around Tony and Tasia and some of the young people that you all know have been knowing down through the years that you saw them grow up, and how they view your lifestyle and how they view your marriage. They feel like you all have a certain level of success that in their mindset they think, man, I want to be that. I want to try to achieve that. And depending on who the individual is, they may say, man, I'm coming up short when I use that measuring term. And but you can't.
I think they just when you're talking about examples, using somebody's like using me and Monica's marriage as an example. I'm not trying to measure up to that. I'm just using that as, hey, maybe because maybe I've never been shown that, right? So and they say, hey, I'm using it because maybe they didn't see that from their mom or dad or in their household, or maybe they saw it in their mom and dad household. They saw what marriage was, and it didn't look successful to them, but they looked at that and they saw it successful. So they saying, hey, I want to maybe mimic my relationship more like theirs and like my mom and dad's.
Right.
And I guess it's still a compare. You kind of comparing there, but in there again, they view maybe their mom and dad's relationship as not being as a success, but not the kind of success they want.
True.
If that makes sense.
Good morning, Miss
Ashley. Happy holidays, Ashley. How are you? I ain't seen you in a long time on here, girl. How you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it can be different. And sometimes success just doesn't feel like you thought it would, man. I'm telling you, like I said, me getting those degrees, me having certain successes on the job and different, like I've hit some plateaus on some jobs that many people would have felt like, bro, that's worth being celebrated. And me, when I got there, it didn't really feel like I wasn't really fulfilled.
Yeah, I would have to say when I became a manager at Walmart, and I understood the backstory of who Sam Walton was, and the theory and thought process behind the power structure behind Walmart. When I became a manager and worked for them folk, I was like, this ain't what I signed up for. But I still learned a whole lot. But it didn't measure out what I thought it was going to be, to be totally honest. If you understand the backdrop of Walmart.
Thank you, Derek. So it's and Derek, man, I wish you could jump on, man. If you could jump on, that would be cool, because it's something I want to ask you as it relates to even ministry and how people compare and say this is successful versus. So I wish you could get on. If you can get on, cool, that would be cool. Lavelle, put the QR code up there so he can see that QR code if he want to scan it and jump on.
Okay.
But another thing, man, when you think about it, when people start looking at success and trying to measure up success, and again, I don't know why people are trying to measure, or like Tam said, why are we competing? instead of just celebrating each other. Well,
Ooh,
sometimes we kind of the external, people don't necessarily applaud you for your success and achievements, right? Or they do, and it's temporary or it's short-lived, and that applause, that external applause starts to fade. And so then when we look at that, the external hoopla, the applause and all that stuff fading away, we start to feel like what we really did wasn't really all that successful.
Listen to this, Tony.
And there we go again, trying to gauge our success and happiness and what we thought it would be like, based on what somebody else thinks, feels, or says.
Listen to this, Tony. You just said what I'm reading. It says success often doesn't feel as expected. It says because the joy is short-lived. We keep moving the goalposts, moving the target.
Right.
And we focus externally on validation, while true fulfillment comes from internal alignment and enjoying the process and not the outcome.
Yeah. So, and I think that's why I've struggled, because every time I get ready to hit a certain plateau, I move the damn goalpost myself. You know what I'm saying? I move the goalpost every time I think I'm about, and then I'm like, okay, because what I'm approaching is, I'm approaching a level that I feel like there's no fulfillment there. I need to get to this level now.
Right. And
so I keep moving the goalpost. And so you got people like this, Lavelle. Hey, Tony, he done moved. Okay, he on to something else. You know, oh, he got time. He done moved to something else. And sometimes, like, I think we it's self-sabotage, and we do it to ourselves.
Right.
So says they use the Mays marriage as a guide to know how to have a successful marriage. And that's what I'm saying. They may not have had anybody showing them, maybe not have looked at grandparents. They didn't look at Miss P and her ex-husband married. You know, they didn't look at certain marriages to see, or didn't have those successful marriages to look at.
That might be great.
Well, Miss P stopped dead on track. What up, Queen?
What up?
So what do you do when the external applause fades away? When the people that you were counting on to cheer you on, to help celebrate your successes, what do you do?
They say that's the danger in it. It says building success from a need to prove yourself to others is exhausting and leads to burnout rather than genuine inner satisfaction.
That's exactly what I was going with next. Well, you waiting on somebody to give you some applause, and you constantly doing stuff, especially if you're doing it for the applause. Now, if you're doing it for yourself, you setting goals and you doing stuff, then that's different. But when you're doing it, your statement at the beginning of the show was you're doing it to appease somebody else.
Right.
And if you're doing it not for your own satisfaction or fulfillment or achievement, then if you're doing it for somebody else, it can very well lead to burnout, because what happens when they do celebrate you, then okay. Then you feel like, oh, I need to do something else because they just stop celebrating me. I think that's another form of self-sabotage too.
It's a saying that says we live for the cheers and die by the boos. This quote often attributed business motivation speakers contrast seeking approval with facing rejection, suggesting true fulfillment comes from a deeper beliefs, not fickle praise. Live for the cheers, die by the boos.
When you have purpose, bro. When you have purpose, or when first you gotta know what your purpose is. But when you have purpose, that purpose will sustain your joy.
Mm-hmm.
When you really need to folk them, I ain't happy, I ain't got no joy, I ain't got no peace. You don't have no purpose.
That's good.
Because when you have purpose, the purpose will sustain your joy and your peace.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, it's like I kind of discovered my purpose later on in life.
Mm-hmm.
And I use myself because that's the only person I can talk about. I can only be transparent about me. I can't really talk about other people. And for me, I sent you that video, man, earlier. And now I kind of wish you had it downloaded because it made, there was a level of transparency in his conversation and him sharing, you know, and this is kind of how I felt like the younger me. When I couldn't figure things out or didn't know it, didn't really want to talk about it. You know, when you and I started this show, we talked about how we used to shut down. Like we wouldn't even talk about stuff shut down. Well, even before then, just having conversations about stuff, being vulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I when I tell you, listening to this guy's story, I could identify because he said every time he felt like it was dealing with something going, he really wanted to share and talk to his wife, but he didn't know how to. He would go in the bathroom, cut the shower on, sit on the toilet, and just cry. And for me, I could identify with that because what I would do is I would go get in the car and take a drive and just drive the circle, just hitting block, doing circles, and just talking to myself, sometimes crying, sometimes shouting at myself, mad at myself, you know, because I couldn't, I was struggling trying to figure it out, and I didn't know how to share. Good morning, Fluke. I didn't know how to share it with my wife. And so because I couldn't share it, I kept and I harbored a lot of things and held a lot of things in that wasn't good for my marriage. And it wasn't, you know, I like how he said that. He said, when I tell people that the first 5 years of my marriage, the first 5 years were horrible. He said people immediately think, oh, it must have been cheating. He's like, nah, it wasn't because of none of that. That's the first stuff people thought I was thinking about. Oh, they finances was messed up or he was infidelity. He said, no, I just didn't know how to be vulnerable to my wife and share. And that made my relationship a living hell. So think about that, bro. Especially as a man, when you can't be vulnerable to the person that you done said I do to, when you can't be transparent, when you can't share, and you gotta hold all that in.
I just talked about it yesterday with Ms. Gwen.
That's horrible. That's horrible. And so what you'll start doing, you start lashing out. You know, you start pointing fingers, you start doing all these things because, and so women, that's why it's important. It's important for y'all to encourage your men, the ones that if they're your person, like Bar said, if they're your person, right. Encourage them to be transparent and to be vulnerable. Well, give them a safe place to be able to do it, a safe space to be able to be vulnerable with you.
Correct.
In other words, when they do share, because they may share it to you in bits and pieces, little bits and pieces, right? So when they start to share the small things with you, don't turn around when you get mad and throw the small stuff back up in their face, because guess what? Now they feel like this is not a safe space and I can't share nothing with you. And that's going to make that relationship a living hell. Lucas said because for many of us, it was about providing something to people you can never impress.
I think we kind of
Wow.
touched on that in a way, yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So
Gotcha.
proving something. Yeah. Yeah, I got what you were saying.
Mhm.
Um, but having some purpose and knowing what your purpose is, being able to share with your significant other and be able to be transparent and vulnerable in those moments, you know, it will cause you to have and be able to sustain some joy in your life, in your
Mhm.
relationship, some
Right.
peace, some happiness.
Well, that's the thing that I touched on yesterday, and I was telling Miss Gwen, that's why community and the things like that we do with the podcast is so imperative in this particular season that we in, because when you think about all the distractions that we have currently, social media, technology, we've gotten away from the true essence of community, and I told her that the thing that I came up with when I started watching podcasts, very just all the time. I said to myself, I said, man, the podcast is the new pulpit because
Mm-hmm.
you're able to actually be a little bit more transparent in these communities that we built, and you'd be amazed at the stuff that we've talked about that folks are like, man, I've been wanting to talk about that for so long, you know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And but a lot of people have neglected communities trying to strive for success.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You know.
Lucas says success is different for everyone. Yeah, we talked about that at the earlier part of the show, that how, what success looks like to you may look totally different for me.
Hmm.
So we can't sit there and compare successes and saying who's successful, who's not successful, because for me to look at somebody else's marriage, like for instance, I can look at somebody else's marriage that's been married for 20 years or 25 years and say, man, I don't know how they've been married so long. But I look at our marriage and say our marriage is successful. Oh, we've had our ups and downs, so I don't know what they've been through in their marriage, and for me to sit back and sit on the high horse and say that their marriage is not successful because it doesn't look like mine.
Hmm.
Shit, the hell, if they knew how mine looked, they probably would say, hell, they ain't successful.
Hmm.
We had our ups and downs.
Right. Hmm.
Material gain is not the end all and can't be measured as success. Absolutely,
Absolutely not.
you can't. So when you think about success and why it doesn't necessarily feel like we thought it would,
Hmm.
that was what we initially said. Why success doesn't really feel like you thought it would. Because we have these expectations of or not even expectations, but a lot of times it's just pre-notions or either stuff that's been taught to us of what stuff is supposed to look like and feel like,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
And then when we actually experience it, we realize that yeah, it was a heck of an achievement, but it wasn't fulfilling for me. It might have been fulfilling for mom and dad because they told me to go to school, get a degree, and graduate, and I did that. And they, mom and dad over there cheese and taking the pictures. My baby graduated, and I'm sitting over there unfulfilled like a mug.
Yeah, because I mean,
You know.
the true essence of what success means is the outcome, and a lot of times, how do you go in determines how the outcome going to be. But like a lot of folks don't believe in there's no such word as perfect, or there's no such thing as perfect. But when you understand the etymology of that word perfect, perfect means to be established. When the Italian cook gets through cooking, he says perfecto, meaning he's established the thing. So when you strive for success, you and get on and receive that outcome, the success should establish something. It just shouldn't be something to do because you was trying to be successful. Success doesn't look like anything. You know what I'm saying? We try to make the success look like something. It's the house, it's the car, it's the relationship. You know what I'm
Well,
saying?
I think if I were to define success, it wouldn't necessarily be about the achievement as much it would be about the fulfillment.
The accomplishment.
You see what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
Like I can achieve something and not be fulfilled, but if I'm fulfilled in it, then I feel like that was successful because it was fulfilling for me.
Yeah, true that.
So, just because a person graduates from Harvard, that's a great achievement, but that does not equal happiness.
True that.
You know, what generally happens after people's so-called success is burnouts. Burnouts often follow success. If you think about, like I told you guys earlier, I got several degrees. I got a associate's, bachelor's, and 2 masters. If when it got time for me to even look at a doctorate, I was burnt out.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I had achieved the things at a later age that a lot of people probably said, man, you going to school at this later age? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm doing it. And I probably achieved what a lot of people, but I wasn't truly fulfilled till I got that last degree.
Yeah. I would have to say for myself, and I think I shared this with my wife, and it was more of an internal struggle for me, because I never went to college or anything, but everybody that seemed like around me was doing it, and when I was able to start the business, because what was so profound about my situation and not having a degree, I was still able to get some of those jobs that people I saw with degrees getting the jobs, and I was like, evidently there's something in me, what I'm saying, that even if that person has a quote unquote degree that I don't have, that's saying, as far as my work experience or whether my personality.
You had that Tony Mays training in you. That's what you had in you.
But I was subconsciously downing myself a lot of the time because I didn't have the degree. And then when I was able to, start the business and be successful and achieve the things that I was able to accomplish, I was like, wow, did I really need it?
Right. And that's why I said it just looks different for people, man.
Right.
It looks different and can feel different.
Right.
So for those who say, I think I have a very successful very successful career, a very successful marriage, a very successful life, a very successful whatever. Did success truly change how you feel? And if it changed how you felt, what did you, or if it didn't change how you feel, and it was just, an achievement, what did you do to fix it or to expect to fix it? And then, I want you guys to think about this, like, how do you define success now? Because when I was younger, all of my successes or how I view success was based on what I saw other people do. But how I view success now is totally different than how when I was 17, 18, 16, looking at other successful people, what I, assumed was successful. And I viewed as successful. And I look back at some of that stuff now, and like you said, it was superficial. It was like, it just looked, it was surface. To me, it was surface success. It looked good on the surface.
Wow.
But if you dug internally, those people weren't fulfilled, weren't happy, did feel they were successful.
Yeah, because you'd be amazed at the people that a lot of people who, quote unquote, are rich or wealthy or whatever, that are literally miserable.
Yeah. It's more suicides. It's more suicides committed by wealthy people than broke folks.
Wow.
And you used to talk about, man, if I had all that money, man, money can't buy you happiness. You would have all the money in the world and still be miserable.
Mm-hmm.
Play that video clip.
Okay.
As the Vol, when did you, and this it's gonna sound crazy to some people listening, when did you realize Khadeen was a safe space for you to be your absolute most vulnerable?
Wow,
That's a good question.
that's a good question. And I always preface, I'm gonna preface by saying this: the first 5 years of our marriage was terrible, right? And it wasn't terrible for the reasons people think it was terrible. People automatically assume it's terrible because of infidelity or money, but that wasn't it. It was terrible because I did not feel safe telling her how I felt about things. So I bottled it up. I suppressed it. I would go in the bathroom, sit on the toilet, turn the shower on. I'd be crying, trying to figure out where, what I was going to do in my life, because I just come from being in the NFL, making a lot of money. I had to start all over again. And I felt like less of a man, but I can't tell that to my wife. And it was one day, she was pregnant with Cairo. And I had said to her, we was having a whole argument about stuff, and I was just at the point, you know how it is when you're a man, you get to the point where you just don't care no more.
Word up.
I was done. We was getting a divorce. And I was like, you know what, you lazy, you don't trust me, you don't believe in me, you don't do all this. And she's like, DeVal, I'm not lazy, I'm fucking pregnant. And I was like, the hormones, like the attitude, like the nausea. She was like, I was trying to find a way to surprise you and tell you. And I said, well, why didn't you just tell me? And then when I said, why didn't you just tell me? It hit me. Why don't I just tell her what I'm going
Why
through?
don't I just tell her? Exactly.
That was the moment. I wrote about it in our book. We Over Me, New York Times bestseller, by the way. Just wanna put that out there.
This again.
But it was that moment. I said to her, why didn't you just tell me? And then it was like, bling, why don't you tell her? And from that moment on, it was 2016. The minute I feel something, sometimes she don't be in the mood, I'm like, yo, we gotta sit down and talk. And she be like,
All right, here we go now.
all right. And I tell her, and the minute we done, we've made a decision that we're not gonna argue about it. We're not gonna harbor no resentment. If we don't agree, we don't agree. But this how I feel, this how you feel, and we work towards, being better.
That's why I asked, because it doesn't matter how long you're with a person, and it don't have anything to
don't.
do with you.
Yeah.
It's really just us as men.
Absolutely.
When do we realize, okay, this is a safe space? This is
Yes.
this woman that I have devoted my life to, the mother of my children, is a safe space for me. It's hard for men to find safe spaces, man.
Yeah.
But you know why though?
Yeah.
I can't even find safe spaces amongst my boys. Forget a woman. If I go to tell my homeboy that I'm feeling away, nigga, you soft, bitch ass. And it's like, am I? You know what I'm saying? You asking, am I?
Yeah.
You know what? Yeah, I am. Let me toughen up.
Yeah.
So if my homies feel like that about me, I can't tell my girl I'm going through it. It took maturity. It took me to realize that I chose this woman and she chose me to spend the rest of our lives together. What my homies think don't matter. What the world think don't matter. As long as we can get on the same page. So she's always the first person I go to now.
Now,
But
yeah.
it wasn't always like that. And that's when we struggled the most.
Yeah, that was good, though.
Like and that's what I'm saying. So, we can't even, if we don't have that safe space to be able to share, or we can't find that safe space, or can't be vulnerable in that place. It's hard for us to really share, when we don't feel successful or we don't feel like we're having a success. For him, I know it was different because, like you said, he had been in the NFL and make this money. So for him, he's like, how am I going to provide now? I'm feeling like less than a man. And I know so many guys that fit not directly in his, verbatim, like what he went through, but, similar, where maybe they had a good job and then the job, and now they're no longer working or couldn't find a job or had to do something or settle for a lesser job. And it made them feel like less of a man, and they couldn't just share that with their significant other. Or they didn't find that there was a space for them to be able to do so. And I just thank God that, like, at this point in my life, I'm talking to Monica about it. Monica is my safe space. This is what I'm dealing with. This is what I'm going through, and I can share that with her, and feel good about the space that we're in.
Yeah.
So, meaning predicts satisfaction. If it's meaningful, it predicts satisfaction.
Right.
And if it's not, it's just another achievement that's unfulfilled. I call it unfulfilled achievement.
Yeah.
And I really want people to think about this today. Think about, because if you really just look back in retrospect of your life and really think about it, you may start to look back and say, you know what? There have really been some time, man, where I have achieved some things that I didn't feel like I thought I would feel different about it, and I did. And
Mm.
so, if I could take away anything from today, it would be that, you know, you can't, for one, you can't define what is successful to you by looking at other people's life, you know, and comparing. What success looks like for me may be different for somebody else. Um, Achievement is different than being fulfilled, because I can get these achievements and still not be fulfilled, you know. And sometimes I can be fulfilled and really not have achieved anything.
Mhm.
So, um, and the last thing, I think that if if you want to be happy, um, you want to have some joy, you have to find your purpose, and your purpose can't be based on what somebody else is dictating to you, how your life or how whatever you're going through should be.
Mhm.
And I think if you kind of, you know, I don't want to say live by it, but that's kind of, those are kind of my takeaways from this particular topic, you know. And I really feel like, you know, if you want to base your life or live your life based on somebody else's expectations, somebody else's perspective, then, you know, that's a tough life. That's a tough life to live, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a video. I've been saying I'm gonna try to find it, and it kind of goes with what we're discussing. But his thought process was, he used the analogy of how far as a people, not necessarily color, but how far we've come when it comes through us coming down through generations. He said, when you think
Mhm.
about the fact of that you came from your, just say, your great great granddad and your great granddad, great great granddad, just breaking it all the way down, how you came. He said that's the most successful thing in life. Because do you know how, he said, do you understand how many people that didn't make it and you did?
Mhm.
And when he was going through it, he put so much perspective on at the particular time when I watched it, because you think you really be going through stuff, and what I'm saying, they say
Right.
life be life, and the fact of that you arrived here
Right.
is
Right.
powerful within itself, doc.
Right.
I was
Yep.
like, wow. I'm
Yeah,
gonna
that's
have to
crazy.
find the video.
Yeah. Come on, clock that T with our girl Queen Walker.
Okay, did you want to read that what Fluke said first?
He said that safe space is developed over time in any relationship, especially a marriage. The need of a safe space is evidence of vulnerability, but everyone is as a but everyone is placed for that vulnerability. Unfortunately, even in some marriages, as crazy as that might sound.
Yeah, most definitely, I get it. Clock the T.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Y'all know what time it is. Put them phones down, fingers up. It's time to clock that tea with your girl, Queen Watkins. I hope y'all are having an amazing morning. But y'all know what time it is. It's time to clock that tea. Y'all, this lady is going viral because of how much child support money she get every month. Let's talk about it. So she has 5 children with 4 baby daddies. So she decided to get on, create a video to post on the internet to explain how she makes at least, well, she don't make, she get at least $6,400 a month for child support between the baby daddies. Yeah, yeah, that's what she said. Man, people getting up, working hard, working a 9 to 5 don't even make that in a month. She said in a year she makes $75K. In a year. Some people ain't even seen that in a year that's working a regular 9 to 5. So I ain't even gonna go there. So anyhow, she ended up explaining where her money went and where the baby daddy's money went. And so she basically was saying that her money was going to the important stuff like kids' clothes, food, things of that nature. I don't think she paying for food. She gotta be getting child support. But she didn't say no. I mean, she gotta be getting food stamps, but she didn't particularly say that she gets food stamps. So I can't say if she do or not. But she said her money is for the important things for the children. And their dad's money is like for the extra stuff, I guess, right? So she was making a video saying, "Oh, I paid for this," the stuff that she had on with her baby daddy money. And then she had some toys for the kids. And she was like, "Oh, their girlfriends paid for this with the child support money. And we're going on this trip and whoopty bam, whatever, whatever." So now the internet is at an uproar saying that she's just having babies to get over on these men to get some money from them. So saying that she don't care about the relationship that the men have with the children, she just cares about the money. Now I'm not gonna go that far because I don't know if them kids daddy see them or not. Because even when kids are on child support, they still go see what they daddy. They still go see, the older part of the family. So I can't say that she don't care about the kids having a father in their life because I ain't see all that. But that's exactly what the comments is saying, that she's not worried about none of this. She's just worried about the money and to not get caught up. Be careful who you sleep with because you never know. Of course, you want to make it seem like she's the bad person because, oh, she got 4 baby daddies. But that's not particularly true because you never know what the people's situation was. You never know how the baby came. So I do see a lot of people having they look want to, which is fine. You have your opinion, but don't be too quick to judge for real, because you really don't know what that lady got going on, and you can't really be mad at her because she let men that got money impregnate her. I'm just saying, like, let's be real. Only way they paying a band a month is if there's someone of character. Well, I ain't gonna say that. I'm just gonna say they make some good money wherever they are. For the courts to say, yeah, you gotta at least pay a band more. And then she also said sometimes some of the daddies pay a little bit more, just depending on if they can or not. So she just, I ain't gonna say looked up, but she just got her some men that basically sounds like they're financially stable. At least 3 of them, because she said one of them didn't have a job, but the girlfriend did. Then she said the other one of them, another one didn't have a job, but his wife paid her at least a band a month. So to each his own. But the story is going very viral because of how much money she's getting a month for child support. That is actually very insane. All right, y'all, that's all the tea that I have today. Make sure y'all tune in to 2 Men in Hats, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. sharp. And don't forget to stay tuned for your girl, Queen Watkins. Clock that tea. Y'all have a blessed day. Bye.
Man, Queen should have drew them eyebrows on some more.
You so stupid, boy.
Queen should have drew them eyebrows on some more.
You crazy. I'm gonna say this, bro, and and I think I've appreciated her once before, but Queen is a lot younger than we are, and I would have to say for her age and some of her, I don't know all of her accomplishments, but for her to be as mature as she is for her age, and I really appreciate what she brings to the table with us, because it could be where it's kind of lopsided. She always have a good perspective. It's one thing to clock the tea, but it's one thing to bring the tea to us. You know what I'm saying? So
right.
Yeah, kind of like bring some different insight on it. So she's a good she's wise before I think beyond her age.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys for tuning in today, man. We appreciate you, Queen, as always. But crank them eyebrows on next time. We appreciate you. Man, shout out to Lavelle, man, for holding it down, man. When I can't get on, we were traveling again yesterday, and we got in super, super late, traveling back from Thailand. And so, man, shout out to you, man, for holding it down. Appreciate Miss Gwen jumping on, helping you. But man, look, we're gonna give y'all a break, man. We know this is Christmas Eve. And we're gonna give y'all a break tomorrow for Christmas, man. So we wanted to tell you guys from 2 Men and a Half, man, Merry Christmas. Man, we hope you guys have a beautiful Christmas, a safe Christmas. I hope you guys get everything that your heart desire, man. I hope Santa brings you everything. So whoever Santa is in your life. Again, yeah, prayers for everyone. Hope you guys have a very safe and happy Christmas, man. And we'll be tuning in the day after Christmas.
Most definitely. Is that all?
Yeah, come on, pray us out, brother.
All right. Y'all been accident free?
Have we been accident free? I think so. I almost got hit by a car earlier.
Hit by a car? How the hell you do that?
Yeah, she saw me. Like I went out there, and man, it was a lady in the Mercedes. But she was about to get her hood slammed on because anywho. She didn't hit me though. She stopped. Let us on cross the street. But yeah, she was, I told her they don't stop for nobody. They don't stop for each other. The traffic, bro, ain't no such thing as no traffic stop signs. They got a few lights that they'll stop in for the lights, but when that green hit, man, they just bro, it's chaotic. I'm in every car on the road, been in the front. I'm hitting pushing my foot through the floorboard, closing my eyes to my Lord Jesus.
She said,
y'all had a motorcycle with y'all car? When y'all got just then? Oh, they said they just had a motorcycle hit their car while they was out.
Wow.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Well, that ain't necessarily y'all accident. I mean, I kind of, I'm talking about just.
Yeah, we ain't had. We've been trying to watch Miss P, keeping Miss P close. She been doing a good job. She's been doing a fantastic job.
She ain't been tripping over the earth.
No, she ain't tripped over no Earl. She ain't did none of that. Everything been good.
Praise the Lord.
Yep.
Okay.
So
love y'all, man. Love y'all, golden girls. Y'all bring so much goldenness to our life.
Especially with that song that they don't know the words to.
No doubt. Let us pray. Most gracious eternal God, our Father, Lord, we just got to tell you thank you and praise you for this day. Thank you for life. Thank you for just waking us up this morning, Lord God, and giving us the activity of our limbs and clothing us in our right mind. Thank you for keeping Tony and the Golden Girls thus far, and just using it funny opportunity, but all the young ladies and everybody that's there safely, where they're out of the country. And thank God for Tam for being able to host them and have a safe space to be in. Continue to bless them while they're there and give them safe arrival back. We could actually continue to bless my family, Tony family, and everybody that's associated with us. And we ask you to bless everybody during this holiday, that everything will be like you will have it to be. And we ask you to do all these things in your darling son Jesus' name. And somebody shout it out. Amen.
Amen, man. We'll see you guys not tomorrow morning, but the next morning after that. Same bad time. Same
bad place.
2 Men in Hats.
Let's talk about it.
It's the 2 Men in Hats podcast with your host with the most, Tony and Lavelle, every morning from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. We also have Queen Watkins with Clock Dead. Tune in with us and have a great time. Let's talk about it right here. 2 Men in Hats podcast.